Hello, my name's Andrew Gibbs. I'm a partner in Deloitte here in Wellington, and I have responsibility for the agribusiness sector and the fisheries sector for Deloitte. And as a consequence of that, over the last 10 years, I've been working in Oman and Iran and the UAE on assisting those governments around food security and food safety issues around those protein sources. And as a consequence of that, have got to know the region pretty well. And today I'd like to share with you a few observations and experiences I've had in doing business in the Middle East, not only as a service provider to those government agencies, but equally as an advisor to boards or other small businesses equally trying to do business up in that region. And the three lessons that I'd like to share with you today are around having a strategic approach to your involvement in the region, really understanding the way they do business up there, and finally just thinking about the financial planning aspects of actually undertaking business in the region, because it is an expensive process but highly rewarding, and you need to keep your eyes open as you go through the process. So firstly, a strategic approach. One of the things I often see with businesses thinking about entering a new market or a new region is they often respond to tactical opportunities. And they see a tender come out, or they've had an acquaintance about an opportunity up there, and they respond quite tactically to that. The concern I have around that approach to it is the region is very diverse and is made up of a number of countries, and your particular service or product offering will attract or be of interest to particular markets. And so I believe there is a range of people who you can look to assist you in analysing those markets and making a strategic choices about where you spend your time and energy in those markets. As you will have heard from the MFAT people, the NZT people of the world, the Middle East Business Council also have a range of people who have been involved in these countries in the past, and they're very, really available to you to help you work through what your strategic approach would be to investigating entering those markets. The second area that I think you should spend a bit of time on is understanding the way those people do business up there. Often people believe in the good old Kiwi approach, being quite pragmatic, it is that you'll do it yourself. Often in the past that has been quite useful to you and has proven a useful tool in some of the markets you've entered, but I believe working together collaboratively with others is a key route to success of doing well in the Middle East. And once again, there are people within the Middle East Business Council, you'll have colleagues in your own networks, but equally we can introduce you to people up in the region who can help you open those doors, understand the way you need to do business, particularly around the difference between working with the private sector and with the government sector up there. They're two different types of approaches. The third area that I've seen that hasn't been well thought through is actually just thinking about the financial planning aspects of this. Often I see businesses head up that way that are not terribly strong financially, and they're hoping that this is going to be their golden ticket to success. From my experiences, I know that just spending a week to 2 weeks up in the Middle East can cost between $5,000 and $10,000 a pop. You know, you've really got to seriously consider, you know, the way you interact with those markets, given the cost of travel and the cost of being in the region, and also the opportunity cost of not being focusing on your business at home. So actually doing a strategic plan and financially modelling up what the size of that opportunity is, the costs of actually trying to win and attract that opportunity, and just looking through it in the cold light of day of really how can you afford these things. But equally, as I said before, there are ways we can minimise those costs. There's ways we can actually ensure that those costs of building relationships, the costs of winning that work, are actually minimised as much as practically possible. And organisations like ourselves and others in the Middle East Business Council have some good insights of how you might achieve that. So there were just the three areas that I believe that you should be thinking about as you approach opportunities in the Middle East. As I said before, it is highly costly, but it's equally rewarding if you do get it right, And these people are long-term relationship owners, and if you've managed to build markets and relationships up there and are actually doing business, it is for the long term, and so it can be hellishly rewarding for you all. It also gives opportunities for your people to participate in other things inside your business, and I just believe that if you approach this with through a strategic framework, that your performance management around your investment in this will be truly transparent and quite rewarding for you. One of the questions that often we are asked about when doing business up there is about the financial arrangements, the way people transact financially and the payment terms and those sorts of things. From our experience is the governments up there are very circumspect about outsiders coming into their business, and they're quite transactional in the way they do business with you. So getting upfront payments and expecting to have things pre-approved and on time and payments on time is probably something you should just think about. Our experience is that typically they are slow payers. You have to manage the foreign currency risk yourself. They won't take that on board. And so when you do your cash flows or your financial management around a particular assignment or a project or around the products and services you're selling up there, I think you should actually build in a buffer of up to 60 days of expecting cash to come in from that arrangement later than you would typically you would typically budget for here in New Zealand. That gives you a nice little buffer. Some would say that buffer's not big enough, and that's actually reality. And in some cases that I've experienced payment terms that have been 90 days late, and you just have to live with that. So what I'm doing now is I'm budgeting in terms of exchange rates with 5 or 10 percentage points above the current exchange rate at the time. And secondly, I'm actually working on cash flows being in 90 days late as well. And that gives me a model by which I can operate on.